Laughter burst like firecrackers. Wrapping paper tore, cups clinked. The scent of roast ham filled the air. Everyone had something in their lap, except me. Griffin smirked. Guess some things never change. Mom sipped wine, didn't look at me. The lights on the tree blinked red and gold. My palms itched. The room spun in slow silence. I didn't speak. I just reached into my coat and unwrapped my own gift. Where are you listening from tonight? Don't forget to subscribe. This is only the beginning. They always said Griffin was meant for more. He had the smile, the charm, the spotlight. I had silence. At school plays, Mom would push forward to clap for him, even when I was in the same scene. Griffin just has that natural shine, she'd whisper. At 13, I built a radio from spare parts. Dad laughed. Huh? You're handy. Griffin broke the lawnmower and still got ice cream. I fixed it. No one said a word. On my 18th birthday, I received a card with no money. Griffin got a used BMW. I got make smart choices. So I did. I applied for every tech scholarship I could find. I told no one, not even them. When I left Willowridge, it was snowing sideways. No hugs, no send-off. Just a bus ticket and a bag of cold pretzels. Austin wasn't much, loud, sweaty, alive. I found a room above a taco joint. The walls were thin. The floor creaked when I walked. But it was mine. I worked nights at a help desk, days learning code. Weekends I crashed in the library. By winter, my fingers had calluses. My eyes burned. But the screen lit up every time I hit run. That was enough. Until I met Maris. She walked into our shared kitchen, wearing combat boots and a NASA hoodie. Need coffee, she asked, holding out a chipped mug. We clicked fast. Same hunger, same ghosts. You're brilliant, June, she said once, watching me debug until sunrise. They don't see it, but I do. Together, we started building a tool to secure financial APIs for small banks. Not sexy, but solid. By 28, we had a name. By 30, we had traction. Investors started calling, then corporations. But not once did my family call. Until this year, a message from Mom: Griffin misses you. You should come home for Christmas. I stared at it, paused, then typed back. Sure. Willowridge hadn't changed. The diner still blinked in neon. The same snow globe store, the same silence. I pulled into the driveway, tires crunching on ice. The porch light flickered, just like it did the night I left. I knocked. No answer. Then the door creaked. Loretta stood in her cardigan and pearls. Juniper, she said, like tasting something unfamiliar. You came? I nodded. Her hug was quick, like checking a box. Inside, the house smelled like lemon polish and regret. The couch was the same. So were the picture frames. Griffin at graduation, Griffin with trophies. No photos of me. Put your things down, she said. You'll be on the couch. Griffin's using your old room now. Of course he was. The dining table was already set. Plaid napkins, mismatched candles. The kind of forced cozy you see in holiday ads. Dad walked in, nodded, didn't speak. Long drive, he asked after a pause. 6 hours, I said. Snow in Boulder. Then the front door swung open. Party can start now, Griffin's voice boomed. He strutted in Sloan, on his arm, sunglasses on his head, like he was still in LA. Well, if it isn't my little sister, he grinned. Didn't know you still had time for us mortals. Sloan laughed like it was the best joke ever told. Nice coat, she added, eyeing my navy wool. Very understated. I smiled. It wasn't a compliment. We moved to the living room. Griffin dropped into Dad's recliner like a king returning from war. So he said, still doing that code stuff. I folded my hands. Yes, still doing that. He smirked. Cool, my app's in beta, just needs seed money. Loretta beamed. He's always thinking big. Maris's voice echoed in my head. They'll talk. Let them. You built it. They didn't. I breathed through my nose, counted 3 seconds, and said nothing. Dinner was roast beef, green beans, and stale laughter. I was seated at the far end next to the swinging door to the kitchen. Steam brushed my face every time it creaked open. Griffin sat at the head of the table, naturally. I told the VC guys, he said mid-bite, this isn't just another delivery app. It's a lifestyle shift. Dad nodded like he understood a word of it. Mom clapped softly. A visionary, she whispered. I reached for the salt. Oh, careful, Sloan said sweetly. That coat looks expensive. It is, I said. Waterproof, too. They blinked. Griffin raised his glass. To risk. To the grind. To entrepreneurs who dare. Everyone toasted. Except me. Loretta looked my way. And Juniper. What exactly do you do again? IT. I'm a co-founder, I said. Lead architect at a security startup. Griffin chuckled. So, like antivirus, I set my fork down. We secure financial systems. Our clients include mid-sized banks and banks. Uncle Neil cut in. You're with a bank, they hiring tellers. Laughter, even from Mom. My knuckles tightened under the table. No, I said evenly. We built the security layers your credit card runs through. Griffin leaned back. Fancy talk. Sounds like backstage work. Necessary but boring. Sloane sipped her wine. I read somewhere women in tech struggle with confidence. You must be the exception. I smiled. Confidence isn't my issue. A silence fell, brief, sharp. Then Loretta cleared her throat. Well, let's eat before it gets cold. Griffin leaned in toward Dad. Wait till they see the pitch deck. Gonna flip the whole market. I poked at my food. Not hungry, not angry. Just noting things. The way they smiled when I was quiet. The way they only listened when Griffin spoke. Outside wind rattled the windows. Inside my old house felt smaller than ever. Still, I didn't flinch. I'd been underestimated before. This time, I was ready. I woke before dawn. The house was still. Snow pressed against the windows. I sat cross-legged in the corner of the living room, wrapping gifts. One by one, precision folds, black ribbon over matte paper. I labeled each tag by hand. To Loretta, an Italian leather wallet. To Harlan, limited edition tools from Japan. To Griffin and Sloane, matching watches, custom engraved. Because generosity didn't need applause. The others trickled in by mid-morning. Coffee, pajamas. Christmas carols humming low from the old stereo. Let's do gifts, Loretta chirped, clapping. The tree shimmered with silver bulbs. Beneath it, a pile of color. Me first, Griffin said, grabbing the biggest box. Of course. Sloane squealed. A luxury stroller, even though no one was pregnant yet. Juniper, Loretta called yours, are somewhere in here. She rummaged, brows knit. Oh, strange. I watched them open everything. Silk scarves, Bluetooth speakers, cashmere. Laughter echoed off the ceiling beams. Then, looks like we missed you, Harlan muttered, not meeting my eye. Griffin burst out laughing. No gift classic. I blinked. Once. It's okay, I said. I brought my own. They froze. I reached behind the tree and picked up the smallest box. A deep navy blue trimmed with gold. From me to me, I added softly. And no, it's not socks. Sloane narrowed her eyes. Loretta pressed her lips. I didn't unwrap it. Not yet. Griffin leaned back. You always did love making a scene. No, I said. I just don't like being erased. Their smiles faded. Even the music sounded thinner. The fire crackled. Someone coughed. I stood, took my gift, and walked out of the room. Let them feel the emptiness I'd lived with for years. After brunch, Loretta called out sweetly, Juniper, come talk with us a minute. The air shifted. Griffin was already seated at the dining table, a laptop open, slides queued. We just thought Mom said, pulling out a chair, you'd love to hear what Griffin's been working on. Of course I would. Griffin hit play. Charts flashed. Buzzwords flew: blockchain, frictionless commerce, AI integration. I nodded. Once. So he said proudly, with a modest seed, say, $250, we could launch by Q2. I raised an eyebrow. Modest. He grinned. For you, it's nothing, right? Loretta leaned forward, hands folded. Honey, family helps family, and this could change everything for him. Dad chimed in. We just want our kids to support one another. Support. Funny word, they hadn't supported me once. I glanced at the screen. Half the pitch deck was templated fluff. The other half numbers that didn't add up. Who else is investing, I asked. Griffin blinked. Well, no one yet. We're offering you ground floor. Sloane appeared in the doorway, arms crossed. It's a great opportunity. You're lucky to be first. Lucky. I took a breath. The room smelled like pine-scented wax and old arguments. You think I have money lying around, I said slowly. Because you have no idea what I actually do. Don't be dramatic, Loretta said. We're not asking for charity. This is an investment. In your brother. Griffin leaned in. It's a win-win. You get equity, I get started. My palms stayed flat on the table, still calm. But inside, I was done. Done playing the quiet one, done being their afterthought. I looked at them one by one, faces full of expectation. And I smiled. The kind of smile you wear right before the storm. The couch creaked beneath me, thin blanket, thinner piece. The lights were off, but my mind wouldn't rest. I stared at the ceiling, the exact ceiling I used to count cracks on as a kid. Back when I slept in a room that was mine, before Griffin needed it for an office. I heard him laughing upstairs, Sloane's voice soft smug. The walls weren't thick enough to block the memories. Graduation day, I got an email. They went to Griffin's lacrosse game. My first paycheck. I bought a used laptop. No one asked how. The night we closed our first client, I toasted with instant noodles. Maris sent a GIF. My mom sent nothing. I sat up, reached for my bag, pulled out the MacBook. The screen lit the room with a cold white glow. Inbox 87 unread, but only one mattered. Subject final valuation confirmed. Valuation 82.4. Effective John 2. I let the numbers sit there. Not for pride, for clarity. I closed the lid. Outside, wind howled against the window. Inside, I was still. Still, but not the same. They thought they could pull me back into their game, but I'd already won my own. Tomorrow, I wouldn't yell, wouldn't cry, wouldn't even explain. I would show them, and then walk away. I dressed carefully that morning. Not silk, not wool. A black hoodie, our startup's name stitched small above the heart. Hair in a low knot. No makeup. I wasn't there to impress. I was there to be seen. The box deep navy gold trim fit perfectly in my hand. Inside a single key. Flat brushed steel. Engraved with 3 letters. Not Vale. I stepped into the living room. They were all there, mugs in hand, still glowing from the day before. Griffin smirked first. She rises. I said nothing, just moved to the center of the room. Loretta raised an eyebrow. Something wrong. No, I said. I just forgot one last gift. I held up the box. For myself. Harlan chuckled. Well, you earned it. You've been working hard, huh? I opened it. Slow, precise. The key caught the morning light. Sloane tilted her head. What is that? A reminder, I said, of where I actually live. I turned the key in my fingers. Gold glinted. Juniper, Loretta said slowly. Is that new? Yes, I replied. Penthouse, downtown Austin, closed last week. Their smiles twitched. Oh, Mom breathed. How nice. 2 bedrooms, I added. Custom kitchen, rooftop garden. Griffin scoffed. So you finally made a little money. Good for you. I looked at him. My company finalized an international licensing deal. My cut, $150,000 after tax. Silence. Pure, crushing. Sloane's mug hit the table too hard. Dad cleared his throat. You've been doing well then. For years, I said. Loretta blinked. You never told us. You never asked. Griffin stood arms crossed. So what, you think this makes you better? I met his eyes. No, I think it makes me free. Sloane's mouth opened, then shut. Mom forced a smile. Well, that's wonderful, sweetheart. We should visit sometime. I shook my head. No. Harlan frowned. What? I don't want visitors, I said. And I'm not investing in Griffin's startup. The room dropped 10 degrees. Excuse me, Griffin snapped. I said no. But it's family, Loretta hissed. I set the box down, folded the tissue inside, closed the lid. And family, I said, doesn't forget your name at Christmas. Or your worth. Their eyes stayed on the box, not on me. I'd never felt taller. You're being petty, Griffin said. Over some childhood jealousy. I looked at him. Petty as asking for $250,000 after mocking my job for a decade. He stepped closer. This is why you've always been difficult. You hold on to stuff. Loretta nodded like that explained everything. We raised you, Juniper. Gave you everything we had. Did you? I asked. They all blinked. I remember paying for my college dorm with tips. Eating canned soup for weeks. Walking to interviews in the rain because no one picked up the phone. Harlan opened his mouth, closed it. I remember Griffin getting a car, and me getting character-build strength. No one spoke. I remember getting into Columbia, and no one saying congratulations. Sloane scoffed. You really need a medal that badly. I turned to her. No, I don't need a medal. But I'm done pretending I was ever part of this family. Loretta's face tightened. How can you say that? I tilted my head. You left me off the gift list yesterday. That was a mistake. It wasn't. My voice didn't rise, not once. I walked to the hallway, grabbed my coat, slid the box back into my bag. You're walking out, Griffin asked. After everything we've done. Done for who, I asked, pausing at the door. For me, or for the version of me you wanted to believe in? Loretta's voice cracked. We just wanted you to be normal. I smiled softly. Then you failed. I'm not. I pulled on my gloves. The cold bit through the seams. I built something without you. I don't need to carry your weight anymore. Juniper, Dad called. Wait. But I didn't. I stepped outside. Snow fell like dust, soft, unbothered. I walked to my car, started the engine, hands steady. Behind me, the house stood still. No one followed. For once they didn't try to stop me. And that was the best gift they could have given me. I drove for 2 hours before I let myself breathe. The road stretched wide and clean. Mountains behind me, peace ahead. My phone buzzed nonstop. I didn't check. At a rest stop outside Pueblo, I finally did. 37 messages. Loretta, you should be ashamed. We gave you everything. This is how you repay us. Griffin, wow. Real mature Juniper. Hope the money keeps you warm. Uncle Ray chimed in too. Family is forever. Unless you forget where you came from. I blocked them all. Every name, every guilt trip, gone. Except one. Maris. I texted, heading back early. You home? She replied in under a minute. Coffee's hot, doors open. Poot. By dusk, I was back in Austin. The air felt different here, alive, forward. Maris greeted me in fuzzy socks and a hoodie that said, Hire Women. She took one look at me and didn't ask a thing. Just wrapped me in a hug. You did it, she whispered. I really did, I said. We sat on the floor, cups in hand, silence soft and safe. Then I told her everything. Griffin's pitch, the missing gift, the key reveal. She blinked. Girl, that was the coldest soft slap I've ever heard. I laughed, really laughed. Later that night, our friends came over. Lisa brought wine. Marcus brought his dog. They listened, reacted, didn't interrupt. At the end, Lisa raised her glass. To chosen family. We echoed it. Glasses clinked. And for the first time in weeks, I slept through the night. Weeks passed. Sarah from legal called. The IPO was progressing faster than expected. The market wanted us. Badly. I walked into our office on 5th Street and everyone clapped. I hadn't even told them yet. Your mom posted something Maris said one day. She's telling people you abandoned Griffin. Let her, I shrugged. Another week, Griffin emailed me from a different address. Subject line, can we talk? Delete. Then a voicemail, I think Madison should know her aunt. Madison, I didn't even know Sloane was pregnant. Didn't matter. They could raise her however they wanted. I wouldn't be part of that narrative. Improper. Spring came. I planted basil on my new balcony, watched the sun rise without noise, without guilt. I was promoted to head of engineering. The board voted unanimously, not because of my name, because of my work. One night, Maris handed me a tiny box, inside a key, to her house. Just in case you ever need out, she said. I cried harder than I had all winter. Yes, sir. They still try. Loretta sent a birthday card this year. No return address, just 3 words inside. Come home, please. I stared at it for a long time, then tore it in half. Home isn't a place where they forget you at the table. It's where they notice when you go quiet. It's where the silence means something. And mine finally did. I drove until the town faded behind me, snow in the rear view, silence in the passenger seat. The roads were slick, empty. My hands stayed at 10 and 2, steady, but inside waves. When I pulled into a rest stop, the sun had just begun to dip. Frost laced the windshield. My phone vibrated like it knew what was coming. 37 messages. Most came in clusters. Anger, guilt, bargains. Loretta, you should be ashamed. After everything we gave you. How could you humiliate your family like that? Griffin, wow, real mature Juniper. Hope the money keeps you warm at night. Then came the cousins, people who hadn't said my name in years. Aunt Cheryl, Griffin's trying to build something. You could have helped. Uncle Ray family is forever until the checks bounce right. I blocked them one by one. No explanation, no warning. Except one contact I kept humorous. I texted heading back. You around? She replied within seconds. Doors open, coffee's hot, ice cream optional. I pulled into Austin around 7. The city glowed, warm, alive, unbothered. She was waiting in sweats with mismatched socks and a giant mug. She opened the door without a word, just held out her arms. I folded into her. Hard day, she asked. I let out one breath, 1 decade. We sat on the couch. I didn't speak for 5 minutes. When I did, the words tumbled out. Everything. Griffin's pitch, the fake kindness, the missing gift, the ask, the silence. She blinked slow. That's a whole novel. I know. I hate them. I don't. She raised an eyebrow. But I'm done trying to love them the way they never loved me. She nodded. We clinked mugs. Mine said, this might be whiskey. Hers said, hire women. Felt right. Later that week, the group came over. Lisa brought wine and almond cake. Marcus brought his dog and way too much cheese. We lit candles, put on soft jazz. I told them too. The whole story. They gasped in the right places, laughed at Griffin's failed pitch, groaned when they heard about the couch. Lisa raised her glass. To the girl who brought receipts to Christmas. We all laughed. To chosen family, Marcus added. We echoed it. That night I slept better than I had in years. No dreams, no dread, just stillness. January came fast. IPO prep moved even faster. Sarah from legal called. We're officially oversubscribed. Juniper, it's happening. I walked into the office the next morning. The team had balloons taped to my monitor. A post-it on my keyboard read, Queen of Quiet Wins. The board called that Friday, unanimous vote. Head of engineering, effective immediately. I didn't cry, not then. But I called Maris, and when she answered, I whispered, they saw me. One day, while sorting laundry, I heard my phone buzz. Blocked number, voicemail left. Griffin's voice, tight, calculated. Hey, just thought we could catch up. Madison's due in May. Would be good for her to know her aunt. I deleted it. The next week, an envelope. No return address, just my name handwritten. Inside a birthday card. Blank, except for 3 words. Come home, please. I stared at it. Then folded it in half. Then again. Then dropped it in the bin. Netla. Spring returned. The basil on my balcony started sprouting. I bought new chairs, repainted the kitchen. Adopted a dog, named her Delta. Maris gifted me a second key. To my place, she said, in case the world ever gets too loud. It hasn't, but knowing that door exists, that's everything. Sometimes I still get messages. A cousin, a neighbor, Loretta's friend from church. All with the same tone, she misses you. Family is complicated. Don't burn bridges. But I didn't burn anything. They just built the house without me in it. And I stopped knocking. Buzz. One night after a long meeting, I stood on my balcony with a glass of wine. Below, the city moved like a heartbeat, steady, golden, mine. I thought about the last words I said to them, and wished I'd added one more. Thank you. Because if they had been kinder, softer, fairer, I might have stayed. I might have settled. Instead, I soared. 6 months later, I haven't returned to Willowridge. Not once. No surprise visits, no holidays, no guilt. And you know what? I don't miss it. I spend my mornings walking Delta around the lake trail. She chases ducks. I sip coffee. People wave. I wave back. Maris and I still share groceries, stories, quiet space. Our lives are separate but stitched together. No noise, no competition, just presence. Sometimes we say nothing for hours. Sometimes that's enough. Griffin and Sloan moved in with my parents. Startup's dead. So is the silence they used to weaponize. According to Sarah, one of their investors contacted our firm asking about security gaps. I passed. Not my problem, not my circus. Success didn't come wrapped in applause. It arrived in freedom, in no longer asking for permission, in no longer shrinking. I built something that didn't need their approval, and that's why it thrives. If you've ever sat in a room full of people you love and felt invisible, I see you. You're not the problem. Sometimes families love the version of you that serves them best, but you don't owe anyone your silence. Cotards, where are you listening from tonight? Brooklyn, Boise, somewhere snowed in, like I was. Drop it below, I want to know. And tell me, have you ever walked away from someone who thought you never would? If so, welcome, you're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like mine. And next time they say, you've changed, smile. You were meant to.